we are studying with the chapter sound. So where sound is it's a very small chapter. There is only one part in this chapter, so you don't have any more parts like A, B or C as you had in the other chapters. Most of the chapter is all theory. There's a little bit of application, and there are hardly one or two numericals, or as good as there are no numericals only actually in this chapter. Okay, so let's start with all the basics first. So guys, first thing, that sound is produced due to the vibration of a body. So whenever a body will vibrate, it will produce a sound. So sound is produced due to the vibration of a body. For example, when you plug the string of a guitar or when you hit on a membrane of a drum, then the sound is produced. If you hit on the desk, then it will produce a sound because the body will start vibrating. So and because it is produced due to the vibration, it is also said that sound is a source of energy, or you can say it's a form of energy. It is considered to be a form of energy, one of the form of energy. So if you remember, we did in the chapter work power energy, that in a loudspeaker we convert electrical energy into sound energy. Then next thing, that sound needs a medium to travel. What do you mean medium? It needs some substance to pass through. It cannot pass in, or it cannot pass through vacuum. Now, like for example, now in medium, it can travel through all the three mediums. It can travel through solids, liquids, as well as gases. And if you know, it travels the fastest in solids, then slower in liquids, and slowest in gases. What's the speed of sound in gas? It is roughly around approximately 330 meter per second. This is just one example. So this is the speed of sound in air actually. In liquid, like for example in water, the speed of sound is around 1500 meter per second. And in solids, the sound will travel at a speed of around 5000 meter per second. Now, why does the speed of a sound travel the fastest in the solids? That's because the molecules or the particles of solids are very tightly packed, and because they are very tightly packed, the vibrations are sent very fast. Okay. Then next thing, can sound travel in vacuum? So remember, sound cannot travel in vacuum. Okay, you need a material or a medium so that the sound can travel. Okay, I'll repeat once again. Sound cannot travel in vacuum, and that's why we cannot hear each other on moon. We cannot hear each other on moon. So they may ask you this for give reason why we cannot hear each other on moon. So that's because sound cannot travel through vacuum. Also they may ask you why we do not hear the explosions which are taking place on the sun. So you have to say between the sun and the earth there is a vacuum. And since sound cannot travel through vacuum, that's why we cannot hear it. Otherwise, all the time there have been a lot of noise. We could hear the explosions which are taking place on the sun. Okay. Now, guys, know what happens exactly when a body will vibrate. So whenever a body vibrates now, say for example, this is a body here. I'll give you an example. Let's say out here we have a string which is fixed at both the ends. So it is fixed at these ends. And now you start plucking this string in the middle. Say I will pluck it at the point P. When you pluck it at the point P, what will you find out now? That this string P, it starts vibrating. So see, this is how it will vibrate. Okay, this is how it will vibrate. Look. Okay, so it will keep going up and down. So see, this will go up, it'll come back here, it'll again go down, and then again come back here. So this to and fro motion will keep on continuing as long as the string has got the energy. So now when you're plucking at the point P, it actually sets all these molecules of air which are there around it. Okay, so all these molecules of air which are around the string, they will be pushed further. So they will be pushed, and even the molecules on the other side will be pushed further. So they'll be pushed up, and the molecules which are down, they'll be pushed further down. So because you're moving those particles, because you are disturbing those particles, that produces the energy, or that produces the sound. So when these particles are being pushed further, basically, what you are doing, you are changing the kinetic energy of those particles. Remember, I hope you'll remember we did kinetic energy in the previous chapter. Okay, so the kinetic energy of these particles will change into what? Potential energy. The potential energy of these particles will change back to what? Kinetic. Again, kinetic to potential, and so on. So because of this continuous movement of these particles, we can hear the sound. Let's give you one very practical example. How can we all hear each other? Say if we are in the same classroom, all of us sitting in a classroom. So when I'll speak, how is the sound produced in my body? Because of the vocal cord. So the vocal cord will start vibrating. That will vibrate the air around us, and then the vibrations through that air, it reaches your ear. So those vibrations, they basically vibrate your eardrums, and according to the movement of your eardrums, your brain will get a message, and that's how it interprets whatever I speak. So it is actually a very fast process. I mean, we know you can hear me immediately. So imagine how fast this process is. Okay, so we'll discuss more about propagation of sound in air in the class. Okay, but this is just little basics that I wanted to tell you about. How does the sound travel? Okay, propagation of sound means how the sound travels. Now, now we'll just discuss. There are a few terms now which you need to know so that we can discuss the chapter further. Now, what are all those terms? So, the first term is the amplitude. Okay, the first term is amplitude. Now, what do you mean by amplitude? If you remember, we had discussed this in the last chapter in the pendulum also. Amplitude is what? The maximum displacement of the particles. So for example here, when it got displaced completely, see the maximum amplitude. This is the maximum amplitude to which a particle was displaced, right? So this is called as the amplitude. Got it? So same way there is an amplitude down also. Here also there will be an amplitude. Got it? So the maximum distance to which that string will vibrate is called as the amplitude. This position, the center line here, this is called as what? Mean position, because that's a middle position. Okay, and this ends, I don't know if you'll remember, it is called as what? Extreme position. So the distance from mean to extreme is called as what? Amplitude. Okay, and because it is a distance, so it is measured in what unit? Meter. The next thing is the time period. Now what do you mean by time period? So amplitude is given by the symbol A, and the unit in which we measure amplitude is what? Meter. Next term is now it's a time period. Now what do you mean by time period? So time period is a time which is required to make one complete oscillation, or you can say make one complete vibration. Okay, what do you mean by making one complete vibration? I'll explain you that. So the symbol for time period is T, and the unit is what? Second. Now what do you mean by one complete vibration? So let's say we are starting from this position. Okay, let's say we are starting from this. This is called as a mean position. Okay, now what is one time period? The time required for one complete wave. Now what is one complete wave? So starting from mean to extreme, back to mean, again going to other extreme, and then again coming back to mean. That is called as one complete oscillation or one complete wave. And the time which we take to make this one complete wave is called as what? Time period. Okay, so time period is the time taken by a particle to make one complete vibration, is called as a time period. Now there is another term which is called as frequency. Okay, what do you mean by frequency now? So frequency basically means what? It's a little meaning of the word frequency, that the number of vibrations that will happen in 1 second is called as what? Frequency. How many number of vibrations happen in 1 second is called as frequency, and the unit in which we measure frequency is hertz, capital H, small z. Okay, it is can also be written as hertz this way because it is named after a scientist, or it basically means per second. Okay, now remember, if the time period is more, what will happen to the frequency? So if the time period is greater, then your frequency will be lesser. Why? Because they are inversely proportional. See, very obvious. If it is taking more time for each vibration, correct? If it is taking more time for each vibration, then obviously that object, that body will have a lesser frequency. It will make less number of vibrations. Okay. Then the next thing, the last term which you need to know is the wavelength. So fourth term is the wavelength. Now what do you mean by wavelength? Again, if you break up this word wavelength, you will realize what does it mean? Wave and length. So in simple terms, the length of a wave is called as what? Wavelength. So wavelength is given by a symbol lambda. Okay, it's a little funny. It's called as LAMBDA, lambda, that symbol. Again, because it is wavelength, length is measured in what? Meter. So its unit is what? Meter. Okay. Now, what do you mean by wavelength? So it will be the distance traveled by the wave in one time period. So how much distance it travels? For example, again check in the last picture. In this picture, the length which is traveling. Okay, now I'm not talking about the time. What is one wave from here to here, and then back here? So the distance which is traveled in this whole thing, this much, is called as what? One wave. Okay, that's called as a one wave or one wavelength, sorry. So those are all the different, these are the four terms whose definitions you need to know. They always ask you at least 2 out of them in the exams for 1 mark each. Okay. Now guys, next thing, now also you need to know that there are 2 types of waves are there. Okay, there are 2 types of waves are there. So one of them is called as a longitudinal wave. Now you have actually very little about this in your textbooks now. You will have this in more details in the 9th and 10th standard. So we are doing just very superficially out here, guys. You just need to remember there are certain important things. I'll tell you those ones. So there are 2 types of waves are there, longitudinal waves and transverse wave. In longitudinal waves, there is compression and rarefaction. Okay, there is compression and rarefaction. As I told you, we'll discuss more about this in the class. And in a transverse waves, again there are 2 things. In a transverse wave, you have what? Crest and trough. Okay, so in a transverse wave, you will have what? Crest and trough. Now let's see. So I'll tell you now how to represent a transverse wave now. So we are discussing more about transverse wave, and transverse waves are only more important from exam point of view also, and they are only given in more detail in your textbook. Now see, this transverse wave or any of these waves, they can be represented in 2 types of graph. Okay, so the first graph is when we are drawing the first type of graph that we are doing is a displacement time graph. Okay, note it is called as what? Displacement time graph. Now how to draw this displacement time graph? So this is one, I'll just draw it one sec. Okay, so this is called as your mean. Okay, the mean line, and this is that's your x-axis, this is your y-axis out here. Okay, so I'll just label these axes now. So this point is your 0, like origin. This side is always positive because it's upward. The downward is what? Negative. Now this axis is representing what? Displacement. In what units we have marked it? Centimeter. Okay. On the right, on the time axis, we are marking it in what? Seconds. Again, time in SI unit here. Now let's say we have drawing a wave. Now it's a rough sketch, guys. So okay. Now see, my first question is how many number of waves have I drawn here? So I have drawn two complete waves out here. There are two complete waves. Now we just spoke about crest and trough. So what is crest and trough? So this part is called as what? Crest. And this part is called as what? Trough. Again followed by what? Crest, and then again what? Trough. Then what do you mean by amplitude? So here is the amplitude. So this is called as what? Amplitude, the maximum displacement from the mean position. Even this is what? Amplitude only basically. Okay, you can also write it as a small a. So that's your amplitude. Now we can also mark the time period in this graph. So what would be the time period? It will start from this point to this point. That will be called as what? Time period. So basically the time required for one complete wave is called as what? Time period. Same way, if we are starting from here to here, that's the time period. So anywhere, wherever you are covering one crest and one trough is called as what? Time period. Okay. Okay. So they can ask you to draw this one, and they may also ask you how to read this. Like see, for example, if I mark this here 5 centimeter, it means what is your amplitude? 5 centimeter. Got it? How? Because this marking is what? 5. So the same way there will be what over here? Minus 5. So I'll just write this is plus 5 and this is minus 5. Okay, if I mark these times here, so say for example here this is 1, then you've got this number 2, then 3 and 4. So what is the time period for this kind of waves? So the time period will be equal to what? 2 seconds. How 2 seconds? Because it is making 2 complete rounds. Look, sorry, because the wave took how much time? 2 seconds. Look, till here it took 2 seconds to make one complete wave. That's why the time period is 2 seconds out here. Okay, and next thing, so that was about the time period and the amplitude. What was the amplitude in this picture? So the amplitude is equal to plus or minus also it could be. So we will not put a sign out here now for now. So I'll just say it will be what? Amplitude will be 5 centimeter. That's all. Okay. Then next thing is a displacement distance graph. Okay. Second thing is what? Displacement distance graph. Now what is a displacement distance graph? So in a displacement distance graph out here, again it was similar only, like how we did the last graph, we are going to draw more or less the same way. Okay, the only difference being what? That this time it's a displacement distance graph. So your y-axis is what? Still the same only, displacement only in centimeter. This point is O, this axis is time, that is in second. Sorry, it will not be time in seconds. Sorry, it will be what? Distance traveled by the wave. So this is a graph of what we are representing now, displacement and distance. So I'll mark your distance in meter, SI unit again. Now guys, we'll draw the wave. Let's see the wave now. So I'll draw the wave again. So it's a similar wave only, again the transverse wave in the form of what? Crest and trough. Again, if you notice here, how many waves have I drawn? So I have drawn 2 complete waves. Okay, there are 2 complete waves. Next thing, how much is the, okay, what is the amplitude out here. So remember, you can find amplitude in either of the graph. Here also I can find out the amplitude, here also. Okay, so amplitude could be found in either of the graph. Now let's say again this is what 4, so it will be plus 4, and this will be what minus 4. Your upwards is positive, downwards is negative. And let's say now this distance which are there, let's say this is, say here you have got 2, then 4, then 6, and then 8. Now what is a wavelength? What's a wavelength? So wavelength is the distance traveled by the wave in one complete wave. So it will start, one complete wave will start from here till where, this is lambda, till here. Or I can also say from this peak to other peak. This will also be what your wavelength only, lambda here. Correct? So what all you can read out from the graph? So see, we can find out what is the amplitude in this graph, and how much is the amplitude we find? It is equal to how much? 4 centimeter out here. How much is the wavelength? So the wavelength in this is equal to how much? 2, not 2, sorry, it will be what? 4 meter. You know how 4 meter, right? Because it is making, it will be 4 meter. Okay, how? Look over here. So it starts from here, right? The wavelength is what? The distance traveled in one complete wave. So that is how much? 4 meter. So that's your wavelength. So it's very important. Again, always one question of this will come. Either they will ask you to draw of a given amplitude and time or distance, or they will give you a graph and then they'll ask you to read the graph. Okay. So guys, now we are heading to the main important part of the chapter, that is about the characteristics of the sound. So this is again very simple and really important also. Guys, now so there are 3 characteristics of the sound. Okay, I'll tell you what are the characteristics now. So there are 3 characteristics of the sound, or rather we can classify or we can differentiate between sounds on the basis of these 3 characteristics. So the first characteristic is what, it's called as a loudness of the sound. It's a loudness of the sound. Second characteristic is the pitch of the sound. And the third characteristic is the quality of the sound. So it's called as either quality or the timbre. Quality or timbre. Some also called as timbre. Doesn't matter. You should write it correctly in the exams. Okay. So these are the 3 characteristics on the basis of which you can differentiate between different sounds. Now, what do you mean by loudness? So loudness is basically what, it is a sensation to your ear. So, we make use of this sensation to get up early in the morning, but still some kids find it very difficult to make use of this alarm to use these alarms to get up early in the morning. They either have to be kicked out of their bed, or, their parents need to sprinkle some water on their face, and then only they wake up. So, I'll repeat once again. Loudness is a sensation to your ears, and this sensation is different for different people. So that's why there are sometimes there are sounds, like for example when you're watching television at home, or when you play music at home, you feel the music is too soft, but your parent feels that no, this is too loud, and they ask you to reduce the volume. So it is subjective, meaning it will depend upon the sensation of each person. So loudness will basically help you in differentiating between 2 sounds, the one which is a faint sound and the other one which is a loud sound. So they may be of the same pitch and same quality also. Okay, they may be of the same pitch or also the same quality, but they can still vary in loudness. For example, when I say loudness, so I hope you could make out that the second time my sound was louder, though the pitch of the sound was same and though the quality of the sound was also same. Now, pitch is we can also say pitch is very similar to what? Frequency. Okay, what we've learnt about it. and quality or timbre, or it can also be called as what? As the wave form. Okay, if you break up this word, you'll get the meaning of this wave form, meaning what is the form of the wave. So if you remember, I just drew two waves in the previous slide. So those are basically the wave form. The form of that wave, meaning the shape of that wave, is called as what? Waveform. Okay. Now, now there are certain factors which can affect the loudness, and one of the most important factor which affects the loudness is the amplitude of the sound. Okay. So everything else remaining same, then the loudness will be proportional to what? Amplitude only. It depends upon only the amplitude. In fact, it is proportional to the square of amplitude. Okay, loudness is proportional to the square of the amplitude. I'll use the symbol small a only because your textbook uses a small a. So loudness is proportional to square of amplitude. What does it mean? If you double the amplitude, loudness will become how much? 4 times. If you treble the amplitude, loudness will become what? Again square, so 9 times. If you make the amplitude 4 times, loudness becomes 16 times. Okay, so loudness is proportional to the square of the amplitude. Second factor is that the loudness is also proportional to surface area. Okay, which area? Surface area. It is also directly proportional to surface area. So more the surface area, more louder sound it will produce. Okay, if you want to try it out, try it at home. Take a small bowl and start banging on that small bowl, like with a spoon. It'll make some sound. Now you take a bigger thali or something. Okay, and then it will produce a loud sound. Okay, you must have already experienced it, because Modi ji had given this task during the lockdown period. Then the third one is that the loudness is inversely proportional to the distance of the source. What does it mean? If you are far away, like say for example in a classroom, if you are sitting on the last bench, then you feel your teacher is speaking very softly. But the person who's sitting on the first bench, he'll feel what? That teacher is loud enough. Why does that happen? Because loudness depends upon the distance. Sometimes if you're unlucky, when you go to for some movie or some parties or something, and if you get a chair or a seat very next to the speakers, it gets really irritating. Because that all that whatever the sound is produced, it just it's very close to your ear, so you find it extremely loud. Okay. And the last factor which I already discussed actually is that it also depends upon the sensitivity. So I cannot write directly or inversely proportional for sensitivity. So it will vary from a person to person. Okay. So these are the 4 factors. Out of these, as I say, the most important factor. If they ask you one factor to write which will affect loudness, you will choose what? Amplitude. How does it affect? It depends upon the it is proportional to the square of the amplitude. Okay. So anybody, if you know, there are those drums during Ganpati, you get those drums, those Nasik dhols, what they call, very popular. So when they play those Nasik dhol, if you've seen, those membranes are really big. They are very big in area. So what's the use of those big? Why do they use such big ones? So that it will produce a very loud sound. And those Nasik dhols are really, really loud. If you've ever seen those, if you heard those. Okay, now next thing, guys, is about the unit of loudness. Now how will we measure the loudness? So loudness is measured in the unit dB. You must have heard of this dB. dB means what? Decibel. Okay, loudness is measured in the unit dB, that is what? Decibel. So you must be knowing during Navratri, Ganpati, those cops or the BMCs, they lay down some rules and restrictions and all. So they say you should not play music usually beyond 10 p.m. It should not be more than 80 decibel, 100 decibel or something. Because sounds which are very high, then they cause what? Noise pollution. So usually those sounds, if the sound is between 0 to 80 decibel, then it is safe for humans. Okay. And if it is 0 to 30 decibel, then it is, if it is 10 to 30 decibel, we say it is very, very, it's called as a music then. So you must be wondering how. So usually people, when they listen to music, they listen to it at a very high amplitude. Like for example, when you go to parties, or you just plug in your earphones and you play it on very loud. In fact, whenever you try to increase the volume or the loudness, they even give you a prompt that more than this may damage your ears. Do you really want to damage your ears? And then we choose yes, I do want to damage my ears. And then you choose the highest volume. So guys, that is very, very dangerous. You may not feel it now, but as you start aging, if you're listening to very loud sound, you will find that by the age of 30, 40, 50, you will start having your sound capacity to take the sound will start deteriorating. You will not be able to hear properly. So it is better you do not hear to very, very loud sound all the time. Okay, and if the sound is if the sound is greater than 120 decibel, then it is considered to be what? Noise. So when will it be noise? Whenever the sound is more than 120 decibel. So if you are wondering what about the sound which is between 80 and 120, there is nothing. They have not given any classification for this. Okay, so this is all about the loudness. Also, if you check the graph of loudness in the textbook, you will find the graph which has got a higher amplitude will obviously be what? A louder sound, because more the amplitude, more is the loudness. Now the next factor we are discussing, next characteristics, is the pitch. So what is a pitch now? So in the pitch, basically pitch and frequency are directly proportional. Okay, pitch and frequency are directly proportional. So I can just say that pitch, sorry, it became pitch ball. Pitch is directly proportional to the frequency. So higher the frequency, higher will be the pitch. Now, so we can say, like, if a sound is of lower pitch. So guys, what I'll do now, I'm discussing about pitch here, and we'll discuss quality on the next slide. Fine. So I'm discussing pitch because I need more space to write over here. Now see, there are two types of sound possible. There could be a sound of lower frequency and a sound of higher frequency. So lower frequency are those sounds, meaning what, they will be having a low pitch, these sounds. And higher frequency are those sounds which will have a high pitch. Okay, now what do you mean by low pitch sound? So these are the sounds which are supposed to be flat. Okay, or they are also called as a grave sound. Whereas high pitch are the sounds which are shriller sound. Okay, now males will usually have a flat or a grave sound, and females usually have a high pitch sound, though there can be sometimes exceptions, like for example Justin Bieber. Okay, we'll not discuss more, there's a lot of controversy about it. So some feel that now it's pretty good, but earlier they say his sound was very, very high pitch. Okay, so also if you heard of, there is something called as a bass and treble in your music system. So when you say you want more of bass, or there are bass guitarists, if you know, in a band. So bass means low pitch sound, whereas treble would mean what? High pitch sound. Okay, so this is the classification of on the basis of the pitch. Now I'll give you an example. So if I say pitch, and when I say second time pitch, so the sound was what? Of a higher pitch. Even in your musical instruments, if you see now in your musical instruments, like for example in a guitar, you've got strings of different thickness. Why do they provide strings of different thickness in a guitar? So that you can produce sounds of different frequency. If you've seen, like, when you play a flute, the person who's playing the flute now, he keeps on changing the number of openings of those holes. So why does he keeps on releasing those holes? That is because you can produce sounds of different frequency. Got it? So the idea is to produce sounds of different frequencies. So all these musical instruments, they have some or the other. Like in some, they change the length of air column. In some, as I told you, they change the thickness of the string. Okay. And like even in a piano, when you play a piano, when you press the first scale, it will be like pah. When you go on the last scale, it will be like pah. So the sound will keep on varying. So all those octaves which you have now, you are in a piano you have like a set of octaves which go from a lower frequency to higher frequency, I guess. Okay, so guys, this is about the pitch. Now just one couple of more things in a pitch, like how will you change the pitch in a string instrument. So I'll just tell you what all factors are there. So first thing is how will you change or alter the frequency in a string instrument. What are example of string instrument? Like guitar is an example of string instrument, sitar is an example of string instrument, even piano is an example of string instrument. So in a string instrument, frequency is inversely proportional to the thickness. So if your string is thicker, it will produce a high pitch sound. There is one more factor. Frequency is also directly proportional to the tension in the string. So more tension, that will also give you more frequency. So those who play guitar, they must be knowing, there are pegs on the top. You can increase the or decrease the tension in the guitar. And the number 3, the last one, is that the frequency is also inversely proportional to the length of the string. Now obviously you cannot change the length of the string once you have designed a guitar. So how do they change the length of the string while playing? So they keep on pressing the string. You must have seen they with one hand they keep on plucking that string, and with the other hand they keep on pressing it in between on the fret. So they press the string with their fingers, and hence that changes the length of the string. Second type is the wind instruments. What do you mean by wind instruments? Where the vibrating medium is what? Air. Those are called as wind instrument. So example, we can say for example, a flute is an example, bugle you use in your PE classes, Shehnai, these are whistles and all. They all are basically examples of wind instruments. So in a wind instrument, the frequency is again what? Inversely proportional to length of air column. So more the length of air column, lesser will be the frequency. Okay. So I'll give you one example, guys. See, they may ask you for give reason. This has come earlier also in the past. It's very, very important that they may tell you, let's say for example, out here we have a cylinder. Okay. So now this cylinder has got what? It is empty. Now what we are doing is we start pouring water inside this. We will start pouring what? Water inside this. And as you start pouring water inside it, what will happen to the length of air column? First, see, what was the length of air column? It starts from here till the end. That's the length of air column, right? Full thing is filled up with what? Air. But now when I'll start with the when you start pouring water inside it, what will happen? As the water starts increasing inside this, as you find that the water column increases, what will happen to the length of air column? Decrease. So see, as the length of water column increases, then the length of air column decreases. But you notice here, what will happen if your length will decrease? If you decrease the length, then the frequency will increase. So we'll state now that frequency and length are inversely proportional. So since the length is decreasing, frequency and length are inversely proportional. So since the length is decreasing, what can we say? Since the length of air column is decreasing, frequency will increase and your sound will get what? More shriller. Okay. So from the shrillness of a sound, you can make out when an empty bucket gets filled up. That's what a lot of we do. We keep an empty bucket below the tap, open the tap to collect the hot water or cold water, and even from far distance you can make out how much the bucket must have been filled. Why or how can you make out? That is because of the shrillness of the sound. Okay, the third one is the membrane instruments. Now, what do you mean by membrane instruments? Membrane instruments means where the vibrating medium is what? It's a membrane. So, for example, in a drum, it's a membrane. Dholak, tabla, they all have a membrane which is vibrating. So, in these instruments, the pitch of a of the sound, it will depend upon the tightness, or you can say the tension and the surface area. It will depend upon the tension in the membrane and the surface area of the membrane, how big or small. So if you see in the tabla, they are both not identical, both the tablas, right? One is thinner, one is thicker, so that you can produce sounds of different frequency. There are strings also on the sides in a tabla, if you've seen. So all those is for what? So that you can produce sounds of different frequency. So they say more tight, meaning more tension, or you can say more tight, and small is a membrane. Okay, the tighter and smaller the membrane, it will produce a sound of higher pitch. So tighter and smaller membrane will produce sound of higher pitch. Okay, so these are also important, like 1 2 mark question or give reasons you may get on these ones, like how does the frequency depend in a membrane, on what factors, or even in for string instrument or for wind instruments. Then his next term is a monotone. If you can again break up this word, you will realize from these only. Monotone. Mono means what? Single. Opposite of poly is called as mono. So monotone means what? When the sound is of single frequency. When the sound is of single frequency, then it is called as what? Monotone. That is the sound of one frequency is called as monotone. Okay. Now okay, so here actually I don't know if you heard of this tuning fork. So tuning fork are those device, they are something like this, like a U shape, and then there is a handle down to hold it. So this part is called as a stem of a tuning fork, from where you hold it, and these sides, the U shape, these are called as prongs. So you can just hold this stem and hit it on your on your knee or on a rubber pad, and it will start vibrating for long. So some people also use these tuning forks to adjust the frequency in their guitar, for fine tuning the frequency in the guitar. And you get tuning fork of different frequencies basically. Okay, now the last characteristic is the quality of the sound. Okay, it is called as what? Quality or the waveform of a sound. Now probably now we've been talking to each other for so long, right? I have not met most of you, hardly anyone I have met earlier. So, but still now some of you I can make out by the quality of your sound. So I cannot see you, but when somebody speaks on the mic, I can make out who is speaking. Or probably you can make out from this sound that it is me speaking. Why? Because we all have a peculiar or a different quality of a sound. For example, let's say here, if I'm playing some music, a tune of some song on a piano, then on a guitar, you will be able to make out on which instrument I'm playing. How do you make out on which instrument I'm playing? Because of the quality of the sound. So every instrument will have a different quality. That is its characteristic. Now, why are the qualities different? Okay, does it happen that two different people, when they speak, they have a different quality of a sound? That's because there is, now again, as I told you, this is not there in detail. You have just very, very basic thing. So it make it a little difficult for you to understand. It's like everyone, all of us, we have different number of waves. Okay, all of us have a different number of waves when we speak. Okay, different number of waves and of different amplitudes. So because our number of waves are different and the amplitudes are different, meaning our frequencies and amplitudes both are different. So the combination is called as a quality. Okay, the combination of all these different number of waves and different and their amplitudes, they together constitute the quality of your sound. And because the number of waves are different in all of us, and hence the quality of our sound is different. Now, what do you mean by this waveform? So if you ever try to speak on those, to Siri or to those Google audio search and all, voice search, you will find, they show that kind of a wave on your instrument. So you try to change your frequency, you speak louder, and you will see those waveforms will also change. Okay, so those things are called as a wave form, meaning to check the form of a wave. Okay, so same way, like you can if a note is played on a piano, it will have large number of notes. Okay, but when you try to play the same note on a flute, it contains only a few notes. So because again all instruments, they have their own different number of notes which are produced, and that's why they all have a different quality of the sound. Like for example, your friend may try to prank call you. They'll tell you, call up and they say, hello, I'm Salman Khan speaking, I'm Shah Rukh Khan speaking. You come to know he's playing a prank. Why? Because the quality of the sound is different, that's why. Okay, so this is all that you have in the theory part of this chapter. Even the numericals are easy, guys, but I think we'll do one thing. I'll discuss the numericals in the class. So mostly in one class only you will watch this video. For homework you have to do what? Circled questions. Okay, I'll repeat once again. You have to do what? Only circled questions. So you have to do circled questions in circled questions. I'll be sending you the PDF, guys, so you'll just check that. So we'll do circled questions on from B, which is on page number 136. And there are not many questions, there are very few questions, hardly 8-10 questions are there. Okay, fine. So guys, this is the end. We are done with this chapter. So whatever you have more doubts on, we'll discuss it in the class. Okay, bye everyone.